Hey, I'm Dr. Pilet, and I want to talk about something that I thought was really kind of cool and interesting last week. I got a few phone calls, got some emails on it, so I think you'll enjoy this. But last week I had a metaphor that I gave to you, and it was called, it's something like, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And what I was talking about is an incident where a guy lost it, and we call it going postal. If you hear that expression, go postal. And he even said to me, man, that last thing that occurred, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. Well, if you understand where that saying came from and you understand how to relate it to stress, I think it's pretty useful information. So let me give you this idea, if you will. I'm watching National Geographic a few weeks ago, actually a few months ago, and in North Africa, there is a dried salt bed, a dried lake, that has leftover salt. And this salt that's been there for thousands and thousands of years is the remnants of a lake that evaporated. But in its place is this incredibly high quality salt that you can find nowhere else in the world. But it's like 200 miles in the middle of the desert. Well, these camel herders, they put their camels together and they go out. They get to this salt bed and they cut up chunks and they put it on the camel, and then they go back and they sell it. Well, the first thought you have is, well, if it's that profitable, why don't they use a truck? It's not that profitable. If they use gasoline and if they used expensive vehicles, it wouldn't be worthwhile. But when you take a camel and you load up the camel, it takes them 5 days to get there, 5 days to get back, and apparently it's pretty profitable. But the question is, how much salt do you put on a camel's back? Well, think about it. If I go there and I don't load him up as much as I can, then I lost out on some profit. So the idea that I'm going to put as much weight as I can to get that camel back without him breaking his back. So when we say, well, that's the straw that broke the camel's back, that's the little bit of a load that was too much that person can carry. Well, let's apply that to stress. Your life, the stress in your life. How much of a load can you carry? I mean, most people, if you will, when they launch from home at 18, they get their first job, they have a girlfriend, they have a wife, they have a baby, they keep putting the load on. And sometimes we get so accustomed to carrying that load, we don't realize we're getting close to our limit. Then there's that day that it happens, and maybe it was the traffic that was backed up and you're late for work. Or maybe your children were sick all day and you were home and it's just something that you're not used to doing. Maybe you got bills due, it's the rent and you don't have your paycheck. But that load is getting bigger and bigger, and then eventually it happens. We snap. You know, I like to remind you that there's another saying that says something like 50 years of good living can be ruined by 10 seconds of stupidity. You know, and the stupidity of our actions is when, gosh, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But the story is not just about my overwhelm, because when in fact you buckle under the load, you've gotten to that point where you, in your own mind's eye, I don't have the resources to deal with all this. I didn't cause these problems, and your head starts to spin, you ruminate all this negative crap, and then you explode because you just don't feel like, I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. I can't take it. I've had enough. I don't care about this relationship. I don't care about this apartment. I don't care about this car. And when we lose it, you know, we go off that deep end, so to speak. That's the idea that I've been carrying so much of a load that I put that one more thing that occurred, that broke your emotional back. Well, the thing I want you to know is a lot of times that thing that sets you off, you know, it's something totally irrelevant to the major loads that you're having. For instance, let's just say you don't like your job. And let's just say you are behind on your bills. And let's just say you're right, you're not getting along with your partner. The thing that sets you off may not be any of those. It may be you go outside to go to work and your tire's flat. And that sets you off into overwhelm. So the idea that when you have stress in your life, that we get used to carrying it, and that idea that unless we do some type of inventory of what that stress is, and become very, very aware that, man, I'm so close to that crisis line, that place that I can't take anymore. And when you start recognizing within yourself that you're right, you're very near that crisis line, well, you got to be proactive in trying to get some of that stuff off your plate. And if you will, negative stress, all that stuff, the crap in your life that just weighs you down, negative stress, positive stress, the things that you look forward to, the things that relieve you. I've found as I've done this topic that when people get under a lot of stress, they quit doing the things that were fun. They lose their sense of pleasure. And so the very thing they used to do, which is go fishing and enjoy fishing, oh, I don't have time for that anymore. Well, those things that you enjoy doing, that you look forward to doing, they are stressful, but they're positive stress. And I had a guy a few years ago, and I never forget this story. He hated his job, absolutely hated his job, but it paid well. And he went to work every day hating his job, but man, he lived for Saturday and Sunday. Why? Because he went fishing in his boat 20 miles off the coast. And when it was hunting season, he went hunting. And when it was fishing season or scuba diving, whatever, he did that. But he was able to tolerate a terrible place in life because he still embraced the things that he really enjoyed. Think about the straw that broke the camel's back. I can't take away the load that you have. I can't. But what we can do is be very proactive in trying to handle the stress overall in such a way as to find tools to reduce the negative stress levels. One, of course, is to do more of the things you enjoy, not less. Other tools, if you will, thought stopping. There's 3 types of problems. Those you can solve, those you can't solve, and those you can impact in some way. Well, the one you got to quit thinking about right off the bat is those you can't solve. I mean, how many times do you sit in class, sit in your car, and you're driving your car, and what is your mind thinking about? Something that you just dislike and don't like. It's an in-law, it's a relative, it's a job, but it's not solvable. And there you invest all that negative energy into something that's not solvable. Stop thinking about the things that you can't solve. Start working on the things you can, or the things that you can mediate, and then more importantly, please remember to start embracing those things in life that you enjoy. As a last thought, you have no idea how many couples I've worked with. They're not getting along, but they quit going out to have fun. Why? Because they're arguing a lot. If you're arguing a lot, the most important thing to do is to do the things that are fun, because it helps you relieve that negative energy, brings down your stress level, and hopefully you're going to find a therapist or a minister or someone to talk to start working on those solvable problems. Okay? Again, this whole conversation, or this little bit of a mini lecture, is about the straw that broke the camel's back. This is about stress. It's about keeping your stress in maintainable limits, about continuing to do things that are fun because that reduces your stress, and then find ways to problem solve when you can, in fact, get that load off. Okay?